In this Helldivers 2 video, we're going to be talking about one of the newest weapons added to the game, which is the Speargun. So everybody's running around here talking about the Coyote and how awesome it is. And yes, the Coyote is an absolutely amazing gun. But have you tried the Speargun? It's freaking really good on all three fronts in various different ways. This is the weapon I was honestly pretty lukewarm on when I was seeing the reveal trailer and everything like that. I was more interested in the incendiary anti-tank and also the Coyote and things like that. So there was a lot more interesting things in the Speargun, but after playing with this for quite a while on all three fronts with various different situations, this thing is quite great in terms of overall utility and fun factor, and just it's in general quite powerful in the game. So what I want to do is I want to go through my thorough testing that I've been doing on this, because I've been testing it against all sorts of different situations to see exactly what its strengths and weaknesses are. And I found some hidden tech with it as well that is quite useful for those people trying to use this thing. So we're going to go over all that and a lot more. Let's talk about it. The description for this weapon is a Speargun firing a heavy duty projectile. These projectiles release a cloud of gas on impact. Looking at some of the weapon profile things first and some of the things we can change with the weapon. So we don't have it obviously weapon customization because this is a support weapon stratagem, but more importantly, we cannot adjust the magnification of the scope. So for you people with max FOV, you're gonna have to deal with this crappy angle from the scope, but it is what it is. You're mostly gonna be shooting this from third person anyway. The ergo is also pretty low at 35, so if you're trying to whip this thing around, it's not gonna work quite well, but again, it's manageable. If you run peak physique, you can get 30 additional ergonomics, making this thing quite a bit better at 65 ergonomics, so that's quite good there. You get 12 total shots organically with the weapon, but you can get upwards of 15 with Siege Ready, which is quite nice. Note that Siege Ready's reload speed does not affect this weapon, so just keep that in mind. This weapon deals damage in two different ways. We have the projectile, which is going to deal the most damage at the highest penetration, which we're going to go over first, and then we have the gas effect, which is basically very similar to a gas grenade. Focusing on the projectile first, the projectile damage is 650, the durable damage is 275, and the projectile penetration is AP5. The cool thing about this weapon already is that the projectile itself has the same penetration and very similar damage profile as a safe mode railgun, so you're basically going to be getting that with a gas effect added on it. So that means you're going to be able to do things like one-shot hulks to the eyeball. You're going to be able to penetrate charger armor to the legs, to the face, whatever. You can also deal damage to Bile Titans and larger units in the game as well. It's not going to be super effective, but technically with the penetration level, you can penetrate enemies and deal damage to them. The Speargun has two advantages when compared to the railgun as a whole in unsafe or safe mode. So the biggest thing that the Speargun has over it is that the stagger force of the Speargun is 80. It's crazy because the 99% damage version, basically the unsafe mode version of the railgun, gets up to 52 stagger. So this is going to be able to stagger a lot of enemies that no other weapon in the game can, which is quite powerful. And then the other thing too is that this thing shoots instantly. You don't have to worry about a charge up or anything like that. So that's quite nice as well. So as for the gas part of this, the gas damage is going to be 25 damage per second. The penetration is 6, and the maximum radius of this is going to be 7 meters. So like I mentioned before, this operates very similarly to the gas grenade. So it's going to cause the same confusion effects, also the same damage over time, and have the same radius or similar radius. We're going to be more specific here in just a moment, but the difference is how the gas disperses. So rather than it being an instant massive cloud like the gas grenade, it's going to be a much smaller cloud that's going to expand out. Now, if you take a look at the radius of these two things in the wiki, the gas grenade is going to have 7-meter radius, and this is going to have a 7-meter radius, even though it has to expand out. When you look at the eye test, obviously the gas grenade has the much larger radius. So I'm not saying they're lying, but again, I think there's a little bit more to it than just that. But again, it does expand out to about 7 meters, so it's going to have quite a bit of distance to go out, which is kind of nice. And then again, the explosion is instant. Unlike the gas grenade, which requires a 2.9 second fuse time, the Speargun is instantly, once it hits whatever target it's hitting, a wall, the enemies or whatever, it's going to explode instantly and create the gas cloud. Let's talk about some of the hidden tech with this thing. So this thing has enough demo force, because it is basically a gas grenade, to destroy bug holes, destroy fabricators, and destroy warp ships, which is extremely useful. So if you're doing missions like blitz missions, instead of getting just 4 gas grenades if you want to run gas grenades, you actually get 12 to 15 of these, which is extremely good for being able to plug up a lot of these holes very quickly, and the reload is very nice as well. So again, it's quite useful from that standpoint. Some other things that it can do is it can actually one-shot the large bot fabricators, can destroy illegal broadcasts, and also can destroy streaker towers and spore towers as well as on the bug front. So it's got quite a bit more utility than you would think on objectives in the game. You can also shoot this thing at the ground and explode it instantly. So instead of you needing to throw out the gas grenade and it takes about 3 seconds to detonate, this will actually detonate instantly. Very similar to the railgun, this will over penetrate other targets, so you can actually get collaterals and things like that, which is really unique. However, against some of the commanders, chargers, flesh mobs, things of that nature, it will stick into those units and then create the gas cloud where they are. So that's also very nice as well, depending on how you want to disperse the gas and whatnot. You can stall out chargers while they're charging. So if they're charging at you, you can shoot them in the face, and because of the stagger force, you're going to stall them out from their charge, confuse them with the gas, and they're just going to be lingering off doing whatever else they want. This also works on bile titans and dragon roaches. If you can be accurate enough on the dragon roaches, you can disrupt their spit or make it go crazy in different directions. And then against bile titans, you can just stop them from spitting all together, which is also very unique as well. One of my favorite things about this weapon is that this is one of the few weapons in the game that can full on stop flesh mobs in their berserk mode, so you can actually stagger them out of it. Now, it's not going to stagger them out of it permanently, so when you stagger them, they're just going to go right back into it after a few seconds. But what this allows you to do is have a brief moment to reposition, do extra damage, and you can actually have a rotation where you'll stagger it with the spear gun, and you can shoot it with other things and deal damage as well. So this is one of the best weapons in the game for managing flesh mobs, which we're going to go over again more as we get into the Illuminate section, but that's some of the hidden tech for this weapon overall. So how does this thing perform against the faction? Starting off with the bugs first, this weapon is best used as an extension of the gas grenade. So if you want to run something else besides the gas grenade, such as thermites and things like that, this is going to operate very similarly like that, except it's going to have a little bit more utility in a couple different areas. So you will not be killing chargers, bile titans, dragon roaches, things like that very efficiently. This is not a anti-tank tool. So the idea is that you can stagger these things, interrupt them and whatnot, and use other things to deal with them. So if you have a situation where you got dragon roaches flying around, bile titans about to spit on you, you can use this to shoot them in the face, interrupt their attack, and then shoot them with something else. That's kind of the idea of it. Same thing with chargers and whatnot. So you can technically kill them with these weapons, but it's not super efficient. It's going to take 5 shots to the charger leg, it's going to take way too many shots to the face, and it's going to take just as many shots to the bile titans and the dragon roaches. So again, it's not an efficient tool for anti-tank, but it allows you to run other things in your loadout like thermites and things like that to be able to deal with these situations as well. Now, as a crowd control tool, this thing is absolutely elite. So again, like I mentioned before, you can shoot the ground, create a gas effect. That's one way to create crowd control. However, you can just shoot this at brood commanders, spewers, chargers, or whatever, and then it's going to gas up the enemies in the general vicinity as it expands out. So it's quite great there, and I particularly like it in the cave systems on some of the new Hive World missions. Being in the caves and shooting this thing at the wall, shooting it at the enemies or whatever, is going to create a wall of gas very quickly. And if you shoot a couple of these in there, it's going to be even better. So I love this thing just for creating general crowd control at much greater distances and much more faster and effectively than even the gas grenade in a lot of ways. So it's quite good for that overall. So in terms of what the projectile can one-shot and things of that nature, you can one-shot anything that's not a charger. Spewers, hive guards, commanders, whatever is underneath the charger, it's going to one-shot instantly. And again, because of the beefy units, it's going to create gas clouds wherever they're one-shot. So overall, my thoughts for the bug front are that it is great for a multi-purpose tool. You can not only crowd control the hell out of enemies with the gas, but you now have a damage tool as well that does apply the gas effect. So you can one-shot many enemies. You can also deal heavy damage and stagger enemies like chargers, bile titans, dragon roaches, things of that nature. So instead of it just applying gas, you're going to be able to have so much more utility outside of that on the bug front, which is incredible in my opinion. So for the Illuminate, this is the weirdest faction in my opinion because there's not as many one-shot opportunities like there are on the bug and the bot front. Now you can one-shot overseers if you can manage to hit their head, but again, if you hit the body, it's going to take more than one shot. Stingrays, I have one-shot them to the engine, like the back engine, if you do get a chance to hit it. But more than likely, it's probably going to take more than one most of the time. Now, the gas effect is enough to kill Voteless very easily, but you can technically use the spear to overpin and kill multiple. But again, the best use case for them is to shoot the ground and let the gas effect do its thing. Now, I mentioned it before, but the best use case for this particular weapon, outside of the other units, is going to be against the flesh mobs. It can stagger the flesh mobs as they're doing their rampage mode. So the moment you see them start to do their rampage mode, shoot them with this. Not only is it going to apply the gas effect, but it's going to stagger them out of their rampage mode for about like 2 to 3 seconds. You can deal damage with whatever else you want to be able to heavily damage them. Then you can rotate back into the spear gun, stagger them out of their rampage again. If you have multiple flesh mobs at the same time, you can stagger multiple at once just by reloading this thing really quick. I love this thing versus the flesh mobs. Harvesters, again, are a bit of a mixed bag in my opinion because you can technically destroy them very quickly by shooting them in the eyeball, but unless you're insanely accurate or if you got the right opportunities, you're not going to definitely kill them very quickly. But what it does is it does stagger them out of their little laser beam, which is nice. And then it will also destroy their little antenna things very quickly as well. So again, I have destroyed harvesters in 2 shots before to the eyeball, so it can work. Some overall thoughts of the Illuminate are is applying the gas effect from any range is extremely nice because you can already start taking out things like the Voteless and whatnot with the gas effect, which is great. And then yes, it doesn't one-shot the overseers consistently, but you can get those one-shot opportunities. But if you shoot it at them and they don't necessarily die, it will still apply the gas effect wherever they are, which is great. And then again, my favorite thing is against the flesh mobs. This thing is so freaking good at staggering the flesh mobs out of their rampage mode. And if you got multiple of them, it allows you more opportunities to set them on fire, deal other forms of damage and whatnot. So again, I love this thing against the flesh mobs. So overall, it's pretty solid against the Illuminate as well. All right, lastly on the bot front is where this thing gets really insane because it does so many things on the bot front well. So I've always wanted to make gas work on the bot front consistently. You can use gas grenades and they're okay, but there's other things you can use like thermites and things like that I don't want to waste the gas grenade. So now we finally can apply gas properly with this weapon and still bring in things like ultimatum, thermite, stuff like that, which is very nice. Because the good thing about it is that because you can apply gas from such great distances, you can just shoot enemies and then you can apply the gas where they are, and it creates a really good crowd control opportunity that we didn't have before on the bot front, which is absolutely incredible. Now, again, because this operates like the railgun, you could do things like one-shot Hulks to the eyeball, one-shot Devastators and Striders to any part of their body, meaning that with the Strider enemies, you could just shoot them to the little carriage area or the little front plate area, and they're going to die in one shot. It doesn't matter where you shoot them, they're going to die very quickly. I admittedly think that it's not as great against the gunships. I've had a hard time shooting the engine consistently. It felt like something was getting in the way, but you technically can destroy gunships in 2 shots, as well as you can shoot the vents on the back of like turrets or tanks and things like that and kill things in about 2 to 3 shots. So it's got some great utility there. Now against War Striders is where it's pretty interesting because yes, it's not going to be great at dealing with War Striders from killing them per se, but it's going to be effective for applying the gas effect to them, which we haven't been able to consistently do unless you bring in gas grenades. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to shoot them in the little belly area and you're going to let the gas effect do its thing. It's going to confuse the hell out of them and a lot of times it will disrupt them from doing their little animations of their barrages and all that stuff. So it's going to be quite nice there. You can use other forms like ultimatums, thermites, and things like that. You'll have a better opportunity to take them out very quickly with something like that. And then just to highlight this here against factory striders, you can take out the top gun because that is AP5. It's going to take a few shots to do it, but you can do it. You can also take out the bottom guns as well because those are medium penetration. And then if you shoot the factory strider in the eyeball or in the undercarriage, you can take them out as well fairly quickly. It's not going to be super efficient, but overall it's not best on the factory striders, but you can at least disable it, which is a good thing as well. But seriously, I enjoy the hell out of this thing on the bot front. It operates very similar to the railgun, which I love. The railgun on the bot front has been one of my favorite weapons to use since its inception back when the game released. But then this is even better because I get to apply a status effect, meaning the gas effect, to enemies as well. So that way I can have a multi-purpose weapon, and also it can destroy things like fabricators and can destroy some of the other objectives as well. So overall, this is an absolutely fantastic weapon. It's one of my favorite weapons on the bot front right now, and I think it's definitely one of the top choices when you're actually bringing stratagem weapons into these encounters. So my final thoughts on this weapon as a whole are the utility of this thing is insane. Not only are you getting a weapon that is going to apply status effects from the gas effect, meaning you're going to not only have great CC, you're going to have great projectile damage from the fact that you can actually deal some heavy damage to a lot of units, if not flat out kill them, as well as stagger a lot of the elite units out of their animations. You're also getting a weapon that can have some objective clearing capabilities as well, from destroying illegal broadcasts, destroying fabricators, bug holes, warp ships. So this thing is an all-in-one tool. Now, it's not going to be insane at anti-tank. It's going to help you be able to stagger things out of animations, but you're still going to need to bring anti-tank things. Thermites, ultimatum, EATs, whatever you want to switch into, you're going to need to bring something else to help you with anti-tank. But as a general rule of thumb, meaning that you can actually use this to disrupt elites or whatever the utility factor you have with this, it is very, very strong in the game. It's one of my favorite weapons in the game. So in short, I'm going to be giving this an A on the Illuminate front and an S tier on both the bot and the bug front. This thing is just so freaking good on those two fronts that I just love bringing this in at any given time. And a lot of times I forget to even use my primary weapon while I'm using this thing. So it's very, very good overall. But all right, that's all my thoughts on the Speargun. Let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Speargun as well, and whether you're going to be bringing this in your dives and whatnot versus the various factions. More importantly, make sure you like and subscribe for more content similar to this. But anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.